feel so, because I feel this is the best way of if you're going to get any kind of guidance or direction, that this is the best way to help me make some decisions.
Okay. The first thing we look at in a chart is to see if you're born by day or night.
Okay.
You're born solidly by night. That makes the moon of your chart more important than the sun of your chart. You're used to thinking of yourself as a Gemini, but your moon is in Scorpio. So as far as I'm concerned, you're probably as much or more of a Scorpio than you are a Gemini.
Oh, that explains some of my, if you go by the astrological characteristics, I don't always fall into a true Gemini pattern.
You should. You're a mixture of Gemini and Scorpio. And in fact, the Scorpio, as far as I'm concerned, is more significant. The keywords we use for Gemini are mobile, mutable, and restless. The keywords we use for Scorpio are intense, private, and deep. The moon in your chart is the symbol for who you're becoming as a woman. It's in that first degree of Scorpio, and it is lined up with the planet Neptune, the planet of dreaming, imagination, idealism, and spirituality.
I love these imageries.
That's the main pattern of your birth chart. If you understand this, as far as I'm concerned, you understand the absolute core of who you are. Neptune is the symbol for all of the subtle energies of the world. It's everything we see through a glass darkly, everything we have hunches about but can't necessarily quantify or even describe completely accurately, no matter how poetic we get. It's the elusive side of life. It's the side that we catch glimpses of or we have intuitions of. It's the planet of our dreaming. It's the planet, again, of our imaginative lives. It's the planet, and there can be creative imagination or there can be what we call false imagination. One can live in dreams and fantasies that hurt one, or one can use one's dreams and fantasies to change one's reality. It symbolizes idealism in the sense of the way the world could be rather than the way it is. So this is the dreamlike woman, the imaginative woman, the spiritual woman, the idealistic woman. That is all in this intense sign of Scorpio. And again, Scorpios, remember I said that the zodiac seasons of the year, Scorpio's late autumn, when life is slipping into winter very quickly, the autumn's intensifying, and things are turning inwards to protect themselves against the encroaching winter. So Scorpio has that down and in quality of late autumn. Each of the 12 zodiac signs is called a house of the birth chart. So there's a planet, there's a sign, and there's a house. Those are the three levels of symbolism we're working with. So the moon is who you're becoming as a woman. Scorpio's the environment for that. Again, this intensity. Can't you be pretty intense?
I would say so. Would you, Steve?
I would absolutely say so.
And the house, each of the 12 signs is called a house of the chart. And each house rules a different area of life. The first house in anybody's chart is whichever of the 12 signs is coming up over the eastern horizon at the moment you're born.
Okay.
It is
here's me. This is the very first house on the dial that's I'm seeing in the
to the east.
Okay.
If you could have looked to the east at the moment you were born, the zodiac sign of Capricorn was on that eastern horizon. Now, there's a bit of a trick. The sign is not the constellation. They're slightly different.
Okay.
So in other words, if you'd looked on the east, you wouldn't have seen the constellation of Capricorn. So that's a whole other thing that we don't want to get into because we could spend our whole conversation just trying to make sense of that.
Okay.
Yeah. But basically,
But irrelevant.
Yeah, what it's telling us is that, at the moment you're born, the winter sign of Capricorn is just rising in the east. The first house of your birth chart is the sign of Capricorn, and the first house is the house of your personality. So you're being symbolized as having a Capricorn personality. The key words we use for Capricorn are structured, controlled, and disciplined. So this is a rather interesting combo. You've got this very dreamlike, imaginative, feminine energy, but you've also got this ability to be quite controlled when you want to be. Does that make sense?
It does.
Aren't you
Very
both
much.
those things?
Definitely. I always contributed to being a dual personality Gemini, but I didn't follow that pattern.
This would be another way of saying the same thing,
Okay.
basically.
Okay, but that really does pinpoint me.
In the natural order of the zodiac, Scorpio is 11 zodiac signs from Capricorn, so it's your 11th house. And the 11th house is where the main symbol of your chart is, even though the computer put it in the 10th house, it's really over here in the 11th house.
Okay.
The 11th house is the house of groups, communities, and associations. So this dreamlike woman in you wants to be functioning in a communal context of some kind. And we could define that in many different ways.
Family or other types of groups that I can be in service or controlling. Okay.
But you also have what is called the midheaven of your chart in the 11th house. MC stands for the Latin medium caeli, which means middle of the heavens. It's the highest point on the ecliptic, the path of the sun across the sky at the moment you're born. And it symbolizes your path in life. So your path in life is in this house of groups, communities, friendships, and associations. So there's a lot of emphasis on community here, a lot of emphasis on your life moving more towards community.
Could someone live 50, 60, 70 years of their life, but at some point towards the end of their life, fulfill their...
Yes.
But in a sense, that's the goal of our journey, is it?
Yes.
To find
Yes.
where we're supposed to be.
We believe that that your job is to become your chart as fully as possible. In other words, your chart is the set of operating instructions for your life.
Interesting.
There is no distinction. Your chart and you, as far as we're concerned, are two sides of the same coin. It isn't that one's chart or these planets affect you. We believe that you actually are that. It's just another way, we can talk about you in certain language, or we can talk about you as a combination of planetary energies. But you're not separate from that. So it isn't a matter of controlling one's chart, it isn't a matter of changing one's chart, it's a matter of fulfilling it, it's a matter of embracing it and